Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. Pleased to be joined by Marcus Quaker of West Perry High School out in Pennsylvania. How's it going?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing well. Before we get into the fun of or a debut of a new segment that we're going to debut this coming season, talk about how your off season's kind of going so far.
So my off season has been going pretty well, I would say. We just got done doing track and field. That's another big part of football, especially whenever you're on the skill side of football things. I run the 300-meter hurdles. I run the 110-meter hurdles. I also compete in the javelin and the 4x1. So we've been lifting, like I said, 3 days out of the week, just getting ready, building up that muscle, that speed and endurance during track and field, so we can get ready for this upcoming football season.
All right. Well, of course, we're going to debut a new segment. I'm going to do it this year with really a lot of people across the country. It's called the 10 Burning Questions. And now I've come up with 10 really on my own. And just some things, and it's going to be fun. So we'll do that. Okay. The first one is, how do you mentally prepare for a game?
So usually what I do is so obviously most times our games are played on Fridays, and so that's the last day of school out of the week. So it's really impactful as far as your mental game while playing football. So usually what I do is I get a good night's sleep the night before. I get my meals ready so that my body has the energy needed to play the next day. But as far as mentally wise, I just have to get my mind into the game. I got to study my notes, got to study my offensive plays. I got to watch plenty of film and get that mind focused in on what I need to do tonight, because each week is different. You have different teams that run different defenses, because for me, I'm a quarterback, so I have to watch film and narrow down each and every team. And not just physically, but mentally, football is probably that's the toughest spot, is mentally knowing the game and preparing yourself for the game.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at managing your time?
I would say about a 7. I would say about a 7 out of 10, because I try to dedicate a lot of my time to the things that are most important to me. So I try to dedicate a lot of my time to football and, being the best athlete I can. But I also, the reason I say 7 out of 10 is because I also try to spend a lot of time with my family and friends, because that means a lot to me as well.
Yeah. Okay. If you got to pick only one social media app to use and you couldn't use any others, which would it be?
It would 100% be Twitter, because in my opinion, social media nowadays is kind of it's just another thing that we have to worry about in our society. And I think Twitter is starting to pick up the game of football. You know what I mean? That's how you kind of reach out to colleges and coaches. And, you always see athletes tweet on there all the time. And Twitter is just more of a positive atmosphere and social media app to be around, whereas you have all these other apps and it's just full of negativity, and our world just doesn't need that.
Yeah. What is on your game day playlist?
I would say my game day playlist, as far as music goes, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So usually I will listen to stuff that's gets me focused, but mainly it's a lot of AC/DC rock type stuff. So I because you don't want to get so pumped up that you forget everything that's important, but at the same time, you want to have that adrenaline and that atmosphere in the locker room, getting your teammates prepared and pumped up for the game. So definitely a lot of rock and roll.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at replying to texts and phone calls?
I would say I'm probably definitely a 9 out of 10 on replying, because I'm usually on my phone a good bit, especially because I'm usually checking Twitter all the time. Just keeping up to date on things, social media is a big thing, and I'm usually on my phone a good bit too. So I'm pretty quick at replying.
All right. What is a TV/streaming show that you're really into right now?
Um, Man, that's a tough one. I would say probably the show called Reacher. It's about this guy who he got like convicted of killing this guy, but it actually wasn't him. But it's a really good show, and I'm like really into that.
That's interesting. Um, Outside of sleeping and during the shutdown, on an average week, how much time do you actually spend at home?
I would say out of the 7 days, I'd probably spend around maybe I would say a couple hours a day at home. I was mainly out and about because I wasn't really going to let COVID, stop me from doing what I needed to do. So I was still lifting and working out and making sure that, just because something gets in your way, it doesn't mean that's got to stop you from what you're focused and committed on doing. Because if you have a dream, you have something you want to do in life, no matter if something gets in your way, you're going to find a way around it if you truly want to get there. And for me, I spent some time at home, like I said, with my family and friends because that's important to me. But like I said again, I was still out working, lifting, and getting prepared for football.
Okay, this is a question you're going to really have to think about. Um, what is the earliest memory that you remember growing up? Like, go back to the earliest thing that you can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to think about that for a little bit.
It could be like it could be like an experience or maybe a trip that you had or anything.
Um, I would say probably the most memorable thing I've experienced in my life was whenever I want to say I was right around 5 years old, and it just kind of popped in my mind because I think about it because, I think I'm lucky to be alive today. Because like it was a scary thing that happened. There's two things, like there's more than two things that I remember,
Yeah.
but one of these things I remember is whenever me and my dad, um, he had borrowed my grandfather's tractor,
Yeah.
and we were on a steep hill, and I remember I didn't have the seatbelt on, and neither did he, and I was sitting on top, and I would say it's a legit farm tractor, and it rolled, and I fell off it, and I remember whenever I fell, my dad threw me off so it wouldn't hit me, and it like clipped my stomach. And I just remember like the flashback of like that moment where like I thought like that was my last, go at life because it was scary. It happened so fast that I'm just glad and I thank God I'm, lucky to be here today.
Oh, that was wow! I can't believe you remember that far back.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, I just added that one in there because I didn't think I'd get responses like that. But that's a good one. Um, what is your pregame meal before a game?
So I'm one of those people who don't really like eat like anything before like a couple hours within the game. That's just kind of how I like my nervous system. Like I'm like a hypochondriac, if you want to call it, because like I'm always worked up about, what if this happens, what if that happens? And I'll eat like a lot of carbs. So like pasta, I'll eat a lot of pasta like the night before to get my body ready.
Right.
But usually throughout the day, I'll eat my normal lunch and then I'll have like a granola bar or something. But I usually don't fill my stomach up like right before the game just because like when I get really nervous, I just can't keep all the food down.
Yeah. And the last one is this is another one you're really going to have to think about too. If you could give advice to your younger self, something you know now but didn't know then, what would it be?
Um, the advice that I could give to my younger self is, and not just my younger self too, but like other people. But if I had to give advice to myself whenever I was like younger, I would say the biggest opponent you're gonna face in life is yourself. And what I mean by that is no matter what you got going on in your life, you yourself is gonna make the change in what you want to do. So the only person stopping you in life is yourself, and that's the biggest battle is in here. It's not so much physically, it's so much mentally where like your biggest opponent is yourself. And no matter what gets in your way in life, like you yourself can bring you out of that. Only you can.
Absolutely. That's actually really, that's actually a really good answer. So actually all of those answers were. So yeah, it was fun. But Marcus, thank you so much for coming on and
No, yeah, hey, thank you. I appreciate your time. That was really fun to talk about some stuff, but like I said, I appreciate your time. Thank you.